I'm Wesley.
And I'm Jen.
And today we're talking with Georgie Buchanan.
It was a really lovely chat. A very, very interesting lady who is on tour with us, actually, coming up this week.
Yes, and Georgie will be joined by Alana Middleton, who will be playing fiddle and singing at the 3 shows. So, hey, shall we just get on with it?
Yeah, it was a really good chat, so we'll catch you at the end.
Hello, Georgie. How you doing?
Hello.
And welcome to a ShireFolk podcast.
Yes, welcome.
Yes.
And whereabouts are you at the moment?
So I am in Leeds.
Oh, right, yeah.
Very good.
So I'm based in Leeds, and I'm currently in Leeds. Yeah.
Yes, you're going on quite a large tour in April, aren't you?
Yeah.
So how long's the tour for? And where does it take you across the country?
So mainly in the southwest. So we got some gigs in Bristol, Devon. I'm also doing we've got some gigs in Herefordshire with you. And we're doing some gigs with a storyteller in Abergavenny.
So what's this gigs with the storyteller?
So it's an amazing storyteller called Marcus Pibworth. And it's a really, really good fit because my music is very much inspired by folklore and mythology. Got songs about Saint Brede, who's the goddess Bridget. Songs about like eagles in mythology and that sort of thing. So Marcus tells stories from kind of British folklore and beyond, but there's a lot of kind of crossover in our approach. So that's really interesting.
Oh, that's wonderful. So how did you get into that kind of stuff?
So that's through Alana. So the gigs that I'll be playing with you with ShireFolk, that's with an amazing fiddle player called Alana Middleton. And we're doing a fair few concerts together as part of the tour. She is from Herefordshire, so she has like connections all around that area. And so she knows Marcus and put us in touch to get that
going. Wonderful.
Yeah. So how did you start playing with Alana?
So it's a really nice story, actually. So we both volunteer at a local farm called Meanwood Valley Farm in Leeds, and Meanwood Valley Urban Farm. and there's quite a lot of volunteers that go there. So we'd both been kind of volunteering there, but hadn't met each other. But people would always say like to each of us, like, "Oh, have you met Alana? She does folk music, blah blah blah." So have you met Georgie? She does folk music. There was people were trying to get us to meet, and then eventually we did meet, kind of doing some digging, and it was like, "Oh, you're Alana. Oh, you're Georgie," and so it was really nice how the kind of farming brought us together. Yeah, and that also kind of reflects in the music because we both love folk music, and one of the things we love about it is that connection with the land and place and nature. These gigs that we're doing together, it's really an opportunity for us to explore like where our music overlaps. We're going to be doing some of my songs and also some of Alana's songs and some like collaborations, some new songs that we've written together.
Oh, that's really exciting. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
It's quite appropriate for around here because it's very much about, we're very countrified, so that connection with the seasons and with the land is much more kind of, just feels much more relevant over this way.
Yeah.
I think, rather than being, I was just thinking, I was just scribbling down as you were talking about the folklore. So I don't know if you've heard of Sabrina, Goddess of the Seven.
Oh, Goddess of the Seven. Like is that the river?
Yeah,
which is where we're literally outside our front door here, Original.
Yeah.
Cool.
So there's lots of stories around Sabrina. So I thought that might be one for you to look up.
Yeah, definitely.
There's lots of different stories around Sabrina. So I just thought it might be something to investigate. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what else have you been up to?
Yeah, preparing for the summer and preparing for the tour, preparing for the summer, getting some good practice in. that sort of thing.
'Cause you've had like quite a crazy busy last few years, haven't you? I mean,
Yeah.
it's all kind of took off for you, and with the English Folk Expo, obviously, and you've done some really interesting, different things over the last couple of years. And how's that journey been for you?
It's been fantastic. I mean, it was just really good timing when I was sort of coming together with creating my debut album. And the album kind of came out of a time of being like quite unwell, and a lot of the songs are inspired by kind of like going through mental health crisis and that sort of thing. So I sort of came out of that and had all these songs and was just like, I don't know what to do with them or like how to do this. I don't, because I'd been working in music for a long time. I hadn't released any of my own compositions under my name. So I saw this English Folk Expo thing advertised and was like, oh, maybe I'll apply for that. And I couldn't believe it when I got a place on the programme. And Tom Besford rang me up, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And it really, really was really amazing. I mean, Hannah Martin from Edgelarks was my mentor, and she was completely fantastic. Like, she's self-released loads of music, and has done loads of touring, creates amazing music as a basis for all of that, and then the English Folk Expo team kind of giving us so many opportunities to perform. We got to play at Cambridge Folk Festival, and then they booked me the next year. And yeah, some really exciting things happened out of that. Like so Ben and Dom, who also did the English Folk Expo program, they were running the Cambridge Folk Choir for the first time. And then they chose to teach them one of my songs.
That's really cool.
And it was just like, wow, I'm like, all these amazing things have kind of come out of that program. So really a testament to the work that they do. Yeah.
That's great, because we actually, I first saw you play as you were finishing your Expo program in Manchester.
Yeah.
And you had a flautist with you.
Yeah.
It was quite a lovely lineup. It was really nice. And then I think the next time I saw you was at Cambridge the year later with your mum.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, she lives in Cambridge, so she loves to come to the festival. And it's so nice that it is like, well, I guess the folk scene in general is very kind of family orientated, and there's a lot of like family bands and a lot of family support for musicians and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's like all ages. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really nice. That was our first time to Cambridge.
It was.
And we loved it.
Absolutely loved Cambridge. In my head, I'd always built it out to be something different. And then we got there and just went, this is just phenomenal. It felt so welcome and friendly. And we were just chatting away to people left, right and centre. And yeah, I just had such a lovely feel about it. And the location in that park was just a beautiful setting as well. So definitely want to go back.
Yeah.
That's on our list.
So tell us a little bit about you and the harp. When did all this start?
Yeah, so I have been singing basically my whole life. Have always loved singing and kind of got into writing songs when I was a teenager, and then kind of musical journey continued from there and started doing all kinds of interesting collaborations with other musicians and dancers and puppeteers and like all kinds of stuff. And then I was starting to really get into folk music, and I love like a cappella traditions of singing unaccompanied, singing ballad singing, and but I would go to like a folk session or something, and there would be songs, but there would also be like people just playing tunes, and I was like, I can't play tunes. I mean, obviously you can lilt with your voice a tune, but I was like, I want to be able to play an instrument that where I can play tunes and kind of be part of that whole tapestry of music. I mean, I played a little bit of instruments, like I played a little bit of guitar and piano, and I'd learned kind of various instruments as a child, but I I don't even know where it really came from. I just started to kind of be like, oh, maybe the harp would be nice. And like...
That really handy instrument for moving
I'm just going to
around.
look at what's that small, really easy transportable instrument?
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, I didn't really think about any of that, but that was something where I was like, I really felt like my songwriting could kind of work with the harp. And then, I was like, well, I'm just going to have to, because it's really difficult to kind of like find people that play harps so you can rent them, or because it's just not as common an instrument. So I was just kind of like, well, I'm just going to have to buy one. And then if I don't play it, I can sell it or whatever.
Brilliant.
And then as soon as I got it, I was just like, this is it. Like, I'm not...
Yeah, you had that affinity with it, yeah.
Like, from the first second, it was like, this is mine now. Yeah. And I think there's something about, like, just the natural resonance of the instrument that I find very inspiring, and kind of helps me create a framework for my songs. And I kind of mainly taught myself. Like, I've had a few lessons now, but at the beginning it was kind of like really just wanting to explore it for myself and see what kind of emerged naturally.
Amazing. So we've actually had a couple of people came up to me recently at the last show, saying they were really looking around to find some harp music. And that's how they discovered the ShireFolk, is because they were specifically looking around for harp music. Yeah, they were very excited that you were coming. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's like, it's so interesting, because I think a lot of people that play the harp, they, have started when they were a child and that kind of thing. And it's like, I feel like I've kind of opened the door to it quite late, but then it's like, it's quite a magic doorway. Like, if you even just like normal conversations, just be like, oh, what do you do, whatever. I'm like, oh, I play the harp. People are like, oh, the harp, it's got this kind of like mystery around it. It's got a very soothing quality. Like, I play for yoga and relaxation sessions and that sort of thing. And,
wonderful.
like, it's also a very healing instrument.
So I've got to ask, how heavy is it?
Oh, so I play a Celtic lever harp.
Okay.
So that is not as big as like a classical harp. So a classical harp, you would need like a trolley to get it around, and a van.
Like, they're big.
Yeah.
I love the way that escalated.
Yeah, but my one, I can lift it up with one. Whether this isn't the case, I can lift it up with one hand.
Oh, okay.
Oh, right, okay.
Oh, wow. Because in my head, I've just got this like Thor's hammer vision in my head.
Yes, that weightlifting. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just thinking that. Like, I have taken out weightlifting, but I can lift it up.
No, it does have such a beautiful sound to it, and it like you say, it does resonate beautifully with your voice and with the music that you write. And there is quite a haunting quality to a lot of what you do. It's just how I feel when I listen to it, and the way you kind of build your sound as well. It's quite immersive. It just kind of takes you.
So did you naturally start to do that kind of style, right? Or did you like particular songs and tunes that took people on a journey like that? Or is it just naturally, is that naturally how you write? Because they are wonderful journey tunes.
Oh, thank you, guys. That's a really nice way of sort of framing the music. Yeah, it's kind of a combination. I mean, I think some of the tunes are just kind of like me going on a journey with the instrument and kind of like what emerges from that. I mean, the title track "Wise as a Fool" was actually, the first time I played it was completely improvised, the whole thing.
Okay.
I was in a recording session with some friends doing some music for them, and then we finished the session and just left the mics running, and I just like was feeling really inspired, and I just kind of like, this thing just kind of poured out.
Right.
And so that is just something about like the instrument itself that just really inspires me to just kind of like flow. But then also some things are more kind of like composed, carefully composed, and Eagle's Whistle is inspired by a traditional Irish Scottish tune called Eagle's Whistle that I learned when I was in the Outer Hebrides, and it was kind of like the tune itself and kind of the landscape that I was in at the time that inspired that whole journey. Yeah, I kind of wrote lyrics and created a sort of world around that theme. So yeah, it's kind of, some of it's kind of the instrument, and then some of it's the broader like folk tradition and the natural world and sort of thing.
So can I ask about Howl?
Yeah.
Just so we need to probably confess that Howl is the song that we've been testing PAs with when we went to buy PAs. Whenever we go, it sounds wonderful. Whenever we go to shows and we're testing rooms out, Howl is our go-to tune for testing how the room sounds.
And Wes does a lot of mixing for some bigger venues as well, so they've been playing it at those venues, just trying to get the stuff.
I do love the way Howl sounds. It's just got everything in there. So talk to me about that. In fact, we'll insert a snippet of Howl here.
She rode on up through the river till the soul sang about her. She hissed and snapped upon the waves, and then she howled. She howled. She howled out and danced with the dead.
There you go. So go on, tell us about Howl.
Well, it's a long story. At the album launch, I sort of said to the audience, like, would you like the short story or the long story? And they were all like, long story. But I'll try and do sort of medium story. So several years ago, I got really inspired by a traditional ballad called The Mackerel of the Sea. And I was doing a development program with sound and music, and they were sort of helping me as a composer to like kind of work with this idea. And the story is about a man. It's a man who has two children, and his wife dies, so he marries another woman. So it's sort of like the evil stepmother trope. And she turns the children into magical creatures. So she turns the son into a dragon, which is quite kind of standard.
Nice.
But then she turns the daughter into a mackerel, which kind of caught my eye, because I was like, that's not like, I haven't read many fairy tales about like women being turned into mackerel. And then the father finds out what's happened, and so he asks her to turn them back into their original form. And so she turns the dragon back into, instead of a boy, he's now a brave knight. And then she calls out over the sea to the mackerel that she must turn into a woman. And the mackerel comes up from the sea and says, "No, actually, I'm all right. I'm just going to stay a mackerel. Thanks. Like, we're good. Yeah." And then but then the sort of dark ending of the story is that the man goes to the wood to gather sticks to burn his wife. So it's this kind of like really strange juxtaposition of a sort of magical story with an ending, which is something that actually did happen, and women and some men, but predominantly women, were burned for being witches, for all kinds of stories that could not possibly be true. So Howl kind of came after that. It's like a sort of story that I wrote as like a sort of epilogue to that, where it's kind of imagining this woman who's being chased by witch hunters for something that she didn't do. And but then it's also a kind of magical story. So she gets turned into a fish, another mackerel perhaps, and then she swims into the ocean, and then with her magical powers she calls the witch hunters out onto the sea to go fishing. And when they catch her, they eat her, and then they're poisoned. So she kind of gets her own back.
Yeah.
On the. So yeah, it's quite a long story.
Great.
But it's kind of, yeah, because that kind of says a lot about kind of how what kind of things inspire me and how I want to kind of work with them. And it's kind of like, it's these sort of like magical things, but also there can be notes of like reality and how this actually, like in how like the first line is like, she felt the knock of the devil kind of thing. And that kind of is referencing that, like things to do with witch hunting, where they would believe there was like a devil's mark on the woman that they would kind of try and find, or, you know, just really invasive, horrible, hideous things that have happened. Yeah, that's what Howl is about.
Wow. Yeah. Incredible.
It is that depth of story, though.
Yeah.
It's just that fascinating, because, I mean, personally, I collect Grimm's fairy tales, so I have, it's just this huge influence for me. It's the darkness of those stories, and how it was a way of kind of telling different fables and different traditional stories, and then how they've been reinterpreted. I just think it's absolutely fascinating. If I ever had the chance, I would love to study fairy tales a little bit more and kind of myth and story, but I haven't got quite a lot of time at the moment, but maybe one day. But it is a world that I just find absolutely fascinating, and where the origins of those stories come from, I just think it's amazing. But yes, it's lovely to hear those, using those original stories and then reinterpreting them or creating your own story off the back of them. It's just really, I think it's wonderful. Okay, that's just me.
Oh, thanks, Jenny.
I could talk to you about it for hours, but obviously maybe not on the podcast. So we were reading a little bit about your history and things like that. Is it right that you're from Canada?
Yeah. Yeah, I was born in Canada.
It's just one of our favourite ever places.
Yeah.
Yes. So at what point did you move over?
When I was quite young, but I still had family living in Canada, so I kind of would go back and forth quite a lot, and I think have spent quite a lot of time in that kind of wild, huge nature.
BC, is it? Is it British Columbia?
Vancouver, Vancouver and the surrounding areas, and that, like being in the big nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We spent our honeymoon was there. We spent 3 weeks there. We absolutely loved it.
One day we'll go back.
We'll go back.
So we did the camper van, just travelling around.
Wow.
It was just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. But we would seriously consider moving.
Yeah.
And we went through all the processes of deciding that we might move, and then for various reasons we didn't. But that's one reason we chose to live here in Bridgnorth, is that it had a feeling a little bit like some of the towns we visited in Canada. So we're like, at least it has that little element of that.
Oh, cool.
Which is really nice. But yeah, one day we'll get to go back. It was what I always love about the idea of it is everywhere we went, there just seemed to be this idea that the animals were there first, so they get first dibs. If that makes sense. An awful lot of the way that it was just with the signage and the way that people were talking, and it was just more of a case of it was humans working with the nature rather than against it. And I thought that was beautiful. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Even to the point of the traffic jam in Jasper or something. There was I'm gonna be really there
was an elk walking down the middle of the town. Right in the middle of the high street, and all the cars had just stopped, turned their engines off. Nobody tried to move it.
It was
several. It was just like he was here first. And they just waited.
I love that.
Yeah. And once it had gone, and then people started to move again, but people just left it to be.
Yeah, we just found that fascinating. Because over here, there's no way people would wait, but there was a patience to it, which is fantastic.
So you like the big nature? So you do travels and you do. What did we read about you on the boat? And so talk to us about that.
So I've been out a few times with an organisation called Sail Britain, which is run by Oliver Bearden, and their mission is to get people out sailing in the incredible environment of the British Isles. There's also an emphasis on ecology and cultural exchange, or cultural exchange. So I first heard about them when they were running a singing and sailing trip. This is several years ago now, like 2018, I think.
Okay.
And so I had the big harp, but I was like, I need a small harp so I can take on the boat. And I had literally only been playing the harp for like a few months.
Right.
I was like, I need more harps. So I managed to find like a travel size harp, secondhand, and took that on the boat with me. And it was just like a complete game changer, being able to bring an instrument like into that kind of environment.
Right.
So we were in the Outer Hebrides, we were singing songs from the maritime tradition, we were also going on land to meet other musicians who kind of were Gaelic speaking and all that kind of stuff. So it was, really, really amazing. Yeah, and actually this year, myself and then Rob, who's the flautist from the band, Rob Mackay, he's also a sound artist.
Right.
Like really incredible work.
He has a beautiful singing voice as well, from what I
remember.
He does.
Yeah. We're co-leading a sound and singing week on the boat. So with Sail Britain again. So with Oliver. So we'll be exploring the Western Isles off the coast of Oban, and we'll be exploring songs. Traditional folk songs, also kind of creating our own songs, and we'll be exploring the soundscapes of the islands and also getting into acoustic ecology. So kind of like how deep listening to the environment can help us to connect with the environment and help with conservation. And
wow.
Yeah. So that's happening this summer. There's still a few places available.
Oh, wonderful. And links to find out about all of this will be on your website, which is
GeorgieBuchanan.com.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah. I was looking at it going, I would absolutely love to do it. Apart from the fact I'm not great on a boat. But the whole thing I doing sounded absolutely brilliant. Because it's June you're doing that, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. In June. Yes.
So, but I was going to mention it to Vicky.
Yes, we've got a friend who would absolutely love this. We shall definitely pass that. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So you perform with different kind of lineups, don't you? You kind of perform with duos.
Yes.
How does the dynamic change when you're kind of working, if you're performing with a duo or compared to working with a larger group? Or does it change the way that you approach it much? Or
yeah, I think that's something that I've really enjoyed about working with this music, is that I kind of wrote it mainly on my own and then kind of brought it to different band members. Like we had a big band, like 5-6 piece band for the album, and working with all of them was completely amazing. Like incredible musicians. I feel like I want to list their names. Like, can I do that?
Yeah, you go for it. Do it.
I just want to be like, they're amazing. So we had Emma Coleman on cello and vocals, Evan Davies on mandolin and vocals, Rob Mackay on flute and vocals, Joel Stedman on guitar and flute. Joe Love played drums on the album and percussion. And we also had a little bit of double bass from Elliot Roth. So yeah, loads of people came together, and I think that was a really important time for me as a musician of because I had gone through this process of like writing songs and then bringing them to a band and just like seeing how much they could evolve and transform was just really amazing and inspiring. Yeah, and then we've just been playing with different lineups based on what's kind of appropriate for that venue. Or
And is it nice to reinterpret the songs, knowing, okay, on this show I've got a violin and a voice and a harp and a voice, or on this show I've got a flautist, on this show I've got, and just how do you reinterpret those songs based on the lineup?
It keeps it fresh and it keeps it alive.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very fortunate to be able to work with such great musicians. And like, as I was saying earlier, in terms of working with Alana Middleton for this tour, that's just been an amazing process because we've kind of gone the step beyond, which is her bringing some of her songs and seeing how we can kind of arrange them together, and then also co-writing songs.
Wonderful.
So there's a newer song that called Wanderer, which is inspired by the story of Tristan and Isolde. And it's quite a sort of like chilled song. And Alana is my housemate as well. So that makes for lots of like, it's kind of like musical collaboration. And I'd written, whenever I write a new song, she's like the first person to know. You know? So I'm like, Alana, I've written a new song. And I was playing it in the living room in the evening. And she came in quite late. She'd been playing at Kaylee. She's in a Kaylee band. So she'd been like playing like fast tunes all night. Comes in, here's my song. And then she's like, oh, great, we could just put a tune at the end. And then she just like created an instrumental tune, like instantly that went so well with the song. And it's just like, wow, that is like the excitement of
brilliant
collaboration. When something that you kind of perceive in a certain way, someone else is just like, oh, we could do this. And yeah. So we've had, lots of moments like that of kind of like, creating together. And
brilliant. Do you enjoy the recording studio as well, as much as live, or both the same, or?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, with this album, that was my first experience of, it was my first album, so my first experience of.
And you enjoy that?
It's kind of a mix. It's exciting, but it's also challenging because recording studios are expensive and you have a certain amount of days. And then also working with the band, it's like you're planning which tracks you're going to do on which days, how much time you need for each track, and sometimes you get it wrong. Like I definitely got it wrong so on some occasions, and it's a bit like doing a performance, because we recorded the whole album live, so we're all doing it at the same time.
But you can kind of feel that in the recording. You can definitely tell there's such a gel there between what's going on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And there is kind of, maybe you're on like the third or fourth take and it's like, okay, well, we need to move on now. So it's going to be this take. It's kind of like, it's kind of like doing a performance, but then you have to keep doing the performance over and over again. So, but, working with such great musicians, and then also with Tom Orrell, who was the engineer and producer, who's really, really talented. It's like that makes it fun and enjoyable, and then it's worth it because then you have something that you're happy with. And
well, I'm very excited about seeing you perform live, because I haven't had a chance to see you properly. Not in a small, like, obviously for the festival it's different, I think, because you've got slightly further away, but I'm very excited about seeing you perform, and I'm really excited about see you perform with Alana as well.
We should plug the tour. Okay. So so we got 3 dates with you on the ShireFolk. Yes. So they are
Thursday the 11th of April
in Ludlow Distillery,
which is a really nice space.
Yeah.
So it's actually in the distillery. So you've got the whiskey barrels all down one side with gin behind you, and
there's a gin school there.
Yeah.
And everything, so.
Free whiskey and everything.
Absolutely. Let's take the barrel.
Where's that barrel gone? She brought a massive half case, but the half's not in it. It looks really heavy.
But it is a really great space. That one.
And then in Hereford on Friday, the 12th of April, 2024, for those who are listening in the future, if it's might have missed. Yeah.
That's quite an intimate space, the Hereford space. So it's a really nice room.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a much more kind of intimate. Well, they were, yeah.
Yeah, it's the Jam Factory upstairs. Now, it is upstairs, that one. Another reason for asking how heavy is the hop. Yeah, it is the stairs. And then on Saturday, the 13th of April, 2024,
It's Bridgenough.
at Violet's Tea Room.
Yes.
Which is nearly sold out.
Nearly sold out. And it's there's incredible cake. So I don't know if you're a fan of cake.
Whiskey.
A whiskey cake.
It's a nice
What do you want?
day to day. And I should say the Jam Factory specialises in vegan and Mexican food.
Yeah,
So they like their spices.
they really do.
So yeah, we're very much looking forward to having you come down. Have you been to this part of the world before? You said, because Alana said from Herefordshire.
I don't know. Is it close to? I'm like, I should know where it is. Is it close to like Hay-on-Wye?
That's the other side of Herefordshire. So we're in the Shropshire Herefordshire bit. So we're slightly to the side of that. So we're next door to Wales. We're just slightly north of Hereford.
Because I've been canoeing on the Wye. That's
Yeah.
as close as I've been.
But it's a beautiful part of the world. I think you'll like it. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really
There's
excited.
a lot of greenery and hills and potholes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
And water, which is good. And we specialise in water. Sometimes the river levels come really up, so we really specialise in water.
Yeah, but hopefully not this time of year. Hopefully we'll be okay. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm really
Yeah, so
excited.
it should be a nice visit for you.
There came a young captain, sailed all the salt seas, let the wind blow high, or blow low. I will die. The captain did cry, if I don't have that maid on the shore, if I don't have that maid on the shore. We've got the ShireFolk gigs on the 11th, 12th and 13th of April.
Wonderful.
And then I'll be supporting an incredible band called Arwen Ensemble, who are a jazz folk fusion band.
Okay.
So I've got a few gigs doing support for them in Bristol on the 18th of April, in Falmouth on the 19th of April, in Dartington on the 20th of April, and then we'll be back up north and Newcastle on 26th of April.
Yeah.
And Leeds on the 28th of April. And the Leeds one will be with Alana as well. So
you're working towards another album? Because when did this album come out? With The Voices Are Full, when did that actually come out?
it came out about this time last year.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So is it too early to start asking about next album?
No.
It's too early. You're still touring the album.
When we recorded probably like 4 songs more than we could fit on the album.
Oh, okay. So there's an EP already.
Even at the time of the first album, it was like, we've got so much music. I mean, I've definitely got enough material for a second album. Yeah, so I'm just at the point of figuring out the more logistical side of making it work. So whether I want to self-release again or approach a label, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but yeah, there's always songs. I love writing songs. So
Thank you so much, Georgie. It's been amazing to spend some time with you. Looking forward to spending 3 days with you
Yes.
very soon. Yeah.
We look forward to actually meeting you in person again, probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and having lots of live music,
Yes.
which is great.
thank you so much, guys. River rushing, river flow, hey do, flood us with the wisdom, oh hey do. River rushing, river flow, hey do, flood us with the wisdom, oh hey do. Hey do.
Well, that was fun.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
I wanted to go on that sailing trip. I'm not really a boat person, but she made it sound so interesting. I'd quite happily go on a boat holiday for that.
Yeah, we didn't say that. We've got a few friends that might really suit.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
And under my sea legs would handle that, though.
No.
No. So obviously, this is only possible because of the support of some amazing people. So I'd like to thank
Arts Council England,
English Folk Expo,
Ludlow Distillery,
Violet's Tea Room,
the Jam Factory.
Hobgoblin Music.
We also a huge support from Buy From Creative Agency and Love Bridge North.
Okay, brilliant. Well, who we got next? We got Dowdy Matsiko next.
Yes, that's going to be absolutely wonderful. So look out for that podcast.
Yeah, that's going to be very soon.
It's been a really busy time for us.
Yes, it has indeed.
An awful lot of gigs and lots of things happening. We've also made lots of announcements, so we've been busy behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But no, very excited for this week and seeing Georgie live with Alana Middleton.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.